Hello, and welcome to the second day of NIDER's Center on Knowledge Translation for Disability and Rehabilitation Research 2014 online conference focusing on effective media outreach strategies. This is John Westbrook, Director of the Center, located at SEDL, or CEDL, in Austin, Texas. I will be serving as your facilitator for the day. I hope you were able to enjoy the first day of our conference on Monday. Although I was on an airplane trying to get back to Austin at the time of our Monday conference, I hear that our speakers, Tim McGuire, Donna Lockett, Sylvia Rincon, did an excellent job of providing a thorough overview of the current state of flux in the media and how to more effectively work with reporters and other journalists to promote visibility and use of your research results and expertise. If you would like, you may access the presentation materials, video, and the unedited transcripts of the first day of the conference in the Expo Room through its conference materials link. You can find a link to the Expo Room in the Helpful Links pod, which is located on the bottom right-hand side of your computer screen. If this is the first day you're able to join us in the conference, as it is for me, I extend a big welcome to you. I have a few instructions to help you get familiar with our Adobe Connect meeting room platform. First, I invite you to actively participate and ask questions of our presenters. To ask your questions in this online conference, you can use the chat box on the left side of the meeting room screen. Or you can tweet your question using hashtag KTmedia, or we will also be taking questions via email at ktdrr@sedl.org, and if you would like, you're welcome to call us, and our staff will take your question and relay it to me, and I will ask your question. Our number is 1-800-266-1832. Of course, if we have more questions than we have time for, we will seek an answer to your question from the speaker after the conference ends and post it to the Expo Room archive. So be sure to check the archive after the conference if you have a question you wish had been answered. CART captioning is being provided by Caption First, and the link to CART is available in the Helpful Links pod on the lower right side of your screen. Notice that at the bottom left of your screen is a box with the conference logistics readily available at all times. If you have any technical problems, and I hope you don't, you may contact technical support by email or by phone. For a brief overview, here's our agenda for today. Our focus is on social media, specifically how to use it to its fullest potential in the areas of research awareness and an overarching knowledge translation strategy. We have a full lineup of great speakers, I think, that we are delighted to have joining us. And at the end of the day, we'll have 3 breakout rooms for you to choose from based on the social media platform you're most interested in learning more about. These groups will focus on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube mediums. So be thinking about which group you want to participate in. Each breakout group will feature hearing from several other invited grantees that have had successful experiences in effectively using one of the social media platforms. You'll have the opportunity to interact with them and ask questions about what they did or make comments about your social media experiences. Okay, we're a little bit ahead, but let's get started. Our first presentation today is titled Peeking Behind the Magic Curtain, Demystifying the Tools and Strategies of the Digital Age, presented by Bonnie Zink. Bonnie comes from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. I hope I got that right, and is a community-based knowledge mobilizer who helps tell stories through the use of traditional and newer digital media. Bonnie works to connect knowledge producers with knowledge users and to facilitate the process of co-production of knowledge by connecting researchers with community members, government representatives, and anyone else interested in becoming part of the knowledge mobilization process. Welcome, Bonnie, and I am so glad that you're with us today. I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for thinking of me for this presentation. Social media is a lot of fun, but it has a lot of value embedded in it. And most of you already know how to do these things. You just do them in a different way on social media. So let's get right into it. There is a workbook that goes along with this presentation that you can download, and I encourage you to do that now. While we're working through the slides, I'll be referencing the workbook quite often. So the workbook will help you to follow along a lot more than the slides will. So we'll get started. While you're doing that, I'll just give you a little background on what's going on here, tell you what this is all about. The workbook and this presentation were developed quite some time ago with a colleague of mine, Fleur McQueen-Smith. She is the Saskatchewan, works with the Saskatchewan Advocate for Children and Youth, and she leads communications over there. Fleur is an award-winning knowledge translation specialist as well. This workbook and this presentation is meant to help you discover what social media means for you and how to put it to work for you. Excuse me. We'll work on defining your goals and locating your audiences. We'll talk a little bit about the various channels and platforms that are available to you. And hopefully be able to answer some of your questions about how to use those channels. Let's get right into step one. The first step to any strategy or to building any strategy is always a self-assessment, as you know. And like I mentioned, you guys will have already done this previously in your other work. So if you look in the workbook, there's a little place for you to fill out. And there's a few questions that are meant to help you access the information that you want to know. The biggest thing in this part of the self-assessment is to actually really think through what you want to do, what results you want to have, who's going to manage this whole process of social media, and how are you going to figure out that your efforts are successful. So please turn to page 6 in the workbook, and we'll talk a little bit about step 2, which is figuring out your goals and objectives. I like the SMART method, but there's other methods out there that are just as effective, and I encourage you to use whatever method works for you. Social media is important because, you know, it can help you establish your expertise. It can help you track your research in a specific area. It can help you understand what people are saying about you and why they're saying it about you. It can help you access the conversations that are really important to you in your work. And as you think through all of this, just keep thinking about your end goal, what that end goal is. The goals are more overarching and more general in flavor, and your objectives are going to be very specific in nature. And if you follow this method, the SMART method, you'll be able to develop those objectives so they link to your goals. But the other important piece here is how to link them to the goals of your organization as well. Many of you are working with institutions like universities, or you have a larger team of researchers, or there's other partners involved in your work. This is where we really want to think about them, what their goals and objectives are, and how we can connect our social media goals to those goals, and just make those connections. And if you think about that right at the start, you're going to have an easier time of measuring it later. So in the SMART method, you want to be specific in your objective. You want that objective to be measurable in the end. You want it to be achievable, so think of your capacity to accomplish this work. And you also want it to be realistic. You don't want it to be, too far gone up there. It needs to be realistic. You also need to set a time frame for yourself. So set that time frame so it makes sense to you, and in that way your objectives are going to be real and tangible and achievable. And if you look in the workbook on page 7, there's some sample forms that you can fill out to help you do that. Here's the most interesting part. Some people think that they need to be everywhere all the time. Well, as you probably noticed, there's 1,001 different social media platforms. Each of those platforms is good at something. So now's the time to think about what platforms are you going to use. Is it going to be Facebook? Is it going to be Twitter? Is it going to be Mendeley? Is it going to be academia.edu? Is it going to be YouTube? And again, there's so many of them, but think it through. Where is your audience hiding out? Where do they go? Where do they hang out? For instance, if you want to connect with policymakers, most of them are on Twitter. If you want to connect with government representatives, most of them are on Twitter. Even Barack Obama's on Twitter, as you know. Our own Prime Minister in Canada is also on Twitter, and many of our political leaders are there as well. At a lower level, most of our municipal councillors, our city councillors, are on Twitter and very active on Twitter. So you want to really figure that out, and you can turn to page 8. And I've got a little bit of write-up on each of the main social media platforms and what each is good at. For instance, if you want to build a very interactive community and you're curating or collecting and sharing a lot of content, Tumblr might be someplace you want to be. There's other social media as well, and I want you to think about your email as being social. If you're on any email lists that require you to respond or post or reply all, that's actually a social activity. And so don't discount the value of email and email lists, because they're still very active and there's a lot of value there. So if you want to turn to page 10, there's a form there that you can fill out that will state your objective, state the tool that you want to use, think about how it will help you reach your goals, and you've already set those a few steps back. And also think about the capacity that you have. Do you have the capacity to monitor the conversations that are going to result from your activity? It's very important to be present on social and to be timely on social. Please don't set up a profile if you're not going to use it, because it's not going to reflect positively on you. For instance, if you set up a profile on Twitter and people start connecting with you and you don't respond, your community is going to have a very bad start. And that's what we're really trying to do with all our social activities. We're really trying to build community and be engaged with that community. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take a lot of time, but it does take some effort on your part. I suggest you do not contract out your social activities. Do not pass it off to someone who does not have the level of knowledge to speak and to be engaged with your community. So they really need to know your research, know your work, have the same passion that you do. Ultimately, it may be you yourself that manages these activities, and that's okay. If you only have a few hours a week to devote to social, that's okay too. But just be sure that you're talking with your community and engaging in a timely manner.
Bonnie, this is John. I think that we have a question that kind of goes along with what you're talking about now. And that question is, how does one find the balance between making content truly engaging while keeping a professional image? Do you have any examples of anyone in rehabilitation medicine really doing this well?
I'm not familiar with the area of rehab medicine as much as you are. However, it's important to be yourself on social. You are a person. People engage with people. They connect with people. So if you're on Twitter, be yourself. You'll notice if you follow my Twitter, and it's @BonnieZink on Twitter, go ahead and follow me. You'll notice I talk a lot about KT. I talk a lot about my real life as well, which is I'm a knitter. And by the way, Tim McGuire mentioned knitting yesterday in his presentation. That was just fantastic. So I talk a lot about knitting. I share a lot of pictures about knitting. I'm also a writer in the knitting world, so I've also split that personality out. But in order to maintain that persona of who I am, I talk about my personal life a lot. You know what I read because I put it up there. You know where I am because I'm a huge user of Foursquare. I absolutely adore Foursquare. You know what I'm doing. Like, people know that I'm presenting right now, so if they message me, they know they're not going to get a message back until I'm done presenting. Because I don't typically engage on social media when I'm engaged in something else like this. You know what I'm doing pretty much from a day-to-day basis. And what this does is it helps present myself and my personal brand. And you know what? You are building a brand. People are going to connect with who you are and what you do. So talk about it. But remember this. Everything you put out on social media is always public. If you put it in an email, it can become public. If you put it out on Twitter, the entire world sees it. So if you're not comfortable talking about something, it's okay to say, I'm not comfortable talking about this, in an open forum. Could you give me a phone call? And that's really where the magic of social happens, is that it's a gateway to that relationship. You start the relationship on social, it moves somewhere else. Did that answer your question?
Oh, I think it does, yes.
Awesome. So that's a nice lead-in to what we're going to talk about now, which is about building your audience. This is really important. It takes time. It takes effort. You have networked your entire career, so many of you are already familiar with how to do this. You're just going to do it and transfer those skills. You're going to transfer them onto the digital stage. If you're trying to get your research picked up by the media, you're going to want to connect with media. And a lot of media people are on social, and most of them actually are on Twitter. I have an entire list on Twitter devoted to media personnel working in Saskatchewan, working in Canada, and working across the world. And I've built those relationships over time, and it's been quite a few years. Since about 2008, 2009, I've been working on those relationships. But you know, when I send something out and I tag them in it by mentioning them in a tweet, it usually goes somewhere else. For instance, I had a client at the University of British Columbia who works in healthy children research. And when I was actually managing his social for him and building that platform for him, some of his research got picked up by the New York Times because of the activity I was conducting on Twitter. So it can always go somewhere else. You never know who lies in your network and what value they can have. So how do you do this? How do you pick these people out? Well, Twitter has a fantastic search engine. So if you go to twitter.com and on your home page, at the top of the screen on the right-hand side, there's a search bar. And you can type in keywords, you can type in hashtags, you can type in names of people, and if they're on Twitter, Twitter will help you find them. Twitter makes it very easy for you to upload your current address book from your email and helps you pick out the people who are currently on Twitter from that your current address book. So I don't want to go too much into the how-tos of Twitter. You can contact me after if you have questions about that. I'd like to concentrate more on the strategy. So again, let's think about who you want to actually hear your message. If you're working with healthy children research and you want to connect with families, you might want to build a Facebook page and start building a community on Facebook, because there's a lot of parents on Facebook, a lot of kids on Facebook. Facebook has the power to allow you to create private groups, which works well when you're working with youth. I know there's a lot of concern about privacy and that sort of thing when you're working in the medical field. Facebook has actually made it pretty easy for you to use Facebook while thinking about those privacy concerns. Again, Twitter's a lot more public of a space. So, but there is probably a way that Twitter could fit into your strategy. You want to think about, whether your message is going to resonate with the people that you're connecting with. So ask questions, send out polls, ask your community what they want to know, and figure out how to give it to them. Creating unique content is very important, and most of you have that content already. For instance, you can take a research report, you can turn it into an infographic. You can turn your main messages into a really neat PowerPoint presentation and upload it to SlideShare. That it then becomes social and interactive. You can take that same research report and turn it into a video. You can talk about your research on YouTube. And YouTube has made it very easy for you to create a really good-looking video. You can take and share pictures of your research in action. So there's a lot of different ways you can share content or create content and then share it. But the important thing is to first understand your audience and who they are and what they want to know.
Bonnie, this is John again. I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question that's related to what you're talking about. And it is this: do you have any ideas on how to engage research participants? I think actually they're talking about engaging potential research participants through social media.
This is a complicated question, so I thank you for that, and it's something I've put some thought into over the last little while. When we're talking research and research participants, again, the privacy issue comes up and the issue of ethics. What you'll first have to do is check with your ethics department at your institution and make sure that it's appropriate to engage in a public platform with your research participants, and to actually check into making sure that it's okay for you to sort of promote your work and encourage people to become participants. There are some instances where people do that online, and there really is. Once you've checked with your ethics department and checked on your privacy concerns and made sure all of that's in place, Twitter can help you engage in that community. But again, let's think about who you want to engage. So if you're doing research on, maybe you're doing research on the concept of lean and how it's working within a hospital, and you want to talk to doctors and nurses who are working with these concepts, you really want to check with that hospital as well and check with your institution and make sure everything's lined up so that you're not overstepping your bounds and going against privacy concerns and various policies. Does that help you out?
Sounds really good. Yes, thanks.
So, okay, so thinking about your audience, remember you really want to motivate your audience. You want to talk to them. This is all about having conversations, connecting with people. So you want to figure out how they use it. Are they using social media personally, just as a person without, connection to an institution? Are they using it professionally? For instance, I use Twitter to actually source some of the articles that I write. If I need a quote, I will source my Twitter network for that. I'll just put it out there on Twitter, and instantly I have instant feedback. Is it for professional development? When I want to know if there's a webinar out there or some sort of class or professional development opportunity, I will source my network. So your network can become very powerful for you. And it's all in, again, we go back to our goals and our objectives and figure out exactly, what we're going to do. And it's okay to have that agenda on social media. Make sure you're not only providing value, but that you're receiving value from the people that you connect with. If you don't receive value, then you remove them from your network, and that is perfectly okay and acceptable. So on page 13 of the workbook, there's actually a little place where you can write these things down and figure out who you want to connect with and how you're going to do that. Let's go to step 5, and we're going to talk a little more about creating this content. What are you going to share? How are you going to share it? And where you're going to share it? If you move to page 14 in the workbook, I've got a list of things here that will help you do that. Most of the tools do not charge for their use, but be cognizant about your time because your time is valuable. And be aware that you're spending time on this, and you might want to track that time in order to properly allocate it in your reporting structure. So there's 2 things to remember when you're talking content. There's content curation, and there's creating unique content. Content curation is about collecting content that already exists on the web and sharing it with your networks. So again, here you're going to want to think about, what does my network want to know? Do they want to know, for instance, do they want to know about knitting? And in my network, they do. So I share knitting-related articles. Do they want to know about, your specialty, your research? I would wager that they do. So here's where you want to think about translating that research into shareable pieces of content. And again, that could be infographics, that could be an executive summary that you've just uploaded to your website, share that link. It could be various other pieces that you've actually got on your website. Your website will really become your central hub in your entire corral of tools here. Everything can point back to your website. And remember, all of this is measurable, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, a little more about evaluating your success. But when you're curating content, also share the stuff that's in your network already. So retweet the stuff that your network shares with you. Share it on Facebook, give it a like, comment on it, create conversations around it, and that's when you're going to start actually finding a lot of value inside your network, and you're going to gain that value back from your social media activities. Everything you do online Again, remember, this is all public. We sometimes think that it's private and it doesn't mean anything, but really be careful about what you're sharing and who you're sharing it with, and just keep that in mind. There's a lot of instances of people gone wrong on social media, and I won't go too much into those, but most of it comes from that they just didn't think it through. Just remember this, just because you can share it doesn't mean you necessarily should share it. And speaking of which, make sure that you review and read everything you share online, because I will guarantee you the one time you don't is when your network is going to catch you, and they're going to tell you about it. But don't be afraid of making mistakes. I make typos in my tweets all the time, and people just, we make fun of it, because I'm going too fast, or I'm just not careful enough. Proofreading's important, so be good at proofreading. Make sure that, when you send it out there, that it's professional and it sends out a message that connects with your message. So some of the tools, again, are listed in the workbook, and you can see them on the slide that's up on your screen right now. There's a lot more tools than I've mentioned here. And if you'd like, I'd be more than happy to talk with you about that after the presentation. We want to remember a few more things about creating unique content. Your opinion does count, so have one and share that opinion. Share what you do, how you do it, why you do it. Share your passions. Let your thoughts be heard. This is a great platform, and this is such an exciting time because we can now, everyone has a voice, and we can have that voice heard in many, many different ways. I think you guys are having elections or they're upcoming fairly soon. Watch those political hashtags on Twitter. You can join that conversation, have those opinions, and find like-minded people out there. It's very exciting when you do that. Just remember, it's like walking into a room and all of a sudden having all these people to talk to. Your room just got a whole lot bigger because it's now the world. And I've started relationships on Twitter with people who are now very good friends, colleagues, and people who actually help me not only promote my business, but provide me with business so that I can keep working on these sorts of things. Just be sure your content's inspired, right? So developing that content is just the first step. You want your social strategy to inspire and drive your content. So connect your content with special days. I mean, there's a special day of remembrance or of recognition for many things. I'm sure you can find ones that connect with your industry and your area of expertise. Remembrance Day is coming up. I caution you about linking your content to things that are happening in the world. Be caring, be considerate, and be aware, and you should be just fine. So the last thing I'll say about content is that I think you've heard the phrase that content is king. It's not. It's neither king nor queen. Content is currency. And Chris Brogan, who is sort of a rock star in the social media world, he says that content is not king or queen. You are. And your content is your currency. You'll find a link to that blog post of his in the workbook on page 17. So again, just work hard on your content, but make sure it's focused on relationship building. Be a servant to your network. Provide them with the stuff that they want to know, and you'll have a very great network in the end. You'll build a valuable community. And be a steward to your people, which means, recognize people in your network. So if someone's connecting with you and sends you a message, be sure to respond to them in a timely manner. Make them feel important to you because, again, they're going to provide you with value, and that is key when you're working in social. All right,
Bonnie, we have a question for you if you'd like to take it.
Yes, please.
All right, from Tom Keating. And his question is, Bonnie, what did you mean by being cautious about linking your content to events occurring in the world?
What I mean about that is, okay, let's think about the Ebola crisis that's happening in Africa right now. You don't want to take that situation and link it to your content in a disrespectful manner, and that's happened, and there's a few instances online right now where some marketers thought it was a great idea to link their promotional activity to Ebola, and it's not acceptable. You don't want to put out tweets. I caution you about automation and putting out tweets, you know, if there's a major event that happens in the world. And during, you know, tsunamis or other natural disasters that have decimated communities, there are instances online where people have sent out very inappropriate tweets, and you will get caught by your community if you do this. So be aware, be considerate, and most of all, be respectful. Does that answer your question?
I'll have to leave that up to Tom, but unless he comes back, we'll assume so.
Oh, right. Well, let's move on.
He's answering yes, so it does.
Awesome. Well, Tom, if you have any further question, you can feel free to email me. We can continue that discussion. Step 6, this is all about monitoring your results, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for this specific aspect. Let's figure out why you're going to monitor. The why is because you need to know whether your efforts are paying off. What do you want to monitor? The what is monitoring your tweet activity. How many tweets are you sending out? How many people are in your network? How many people are picking up on your tweets? How many people are engaging with your Facebook posts, and how are they engaging with your Facebook posts? All of these things will help you in the end determine whether your activities are successful. The how is a big piece here, and so we'll talk a little bit about the how. Do you want to capture accurate data that relates to your activities? And there's many, many tools available for you to do that. You can measure your fans, followers, subscribers, and potential reach. Those are all easily accessed on Twitter and on Facebook. Facebook actually has some fantastic insights, and they call it the Insights for Your Facebook page, which will tell you a whole bunch of data about your activities. You can assign a value to a like or share. You can measure the hits on your website. So if you're driving people back to your website with links that you share on Twitter and Facebook, or you want to drive them back to your website to watch a video, to download something, there's a call to action here that comes back to your website. Be clear about what that call to action is. And by all means, if you don't have Google Analytics on your website right now, do it today. Get Google Analytics on your website. It is free to use, and it gives you some powerful information about the community that surrounds your website. And it will help you figure out whether your activities are successful. For instance, if I upload a new fact sheet to my website, I want to know where people are coming from. Do they come to my website from Google+, from Facebook, from Twitter? I want to know how long they spend there, and I want to know if they've downloaded that material. Google Analytics helps me see that, and it's very powerful. But let's be careful here. Let's think this through. It's not always about the numbers. For instance, monitoring the number of followers, fans, or friends is really not a good measure of your success. Unless one of your objectives is actually to increase your community numbers, that's really kind of a shallow number. So if, say Dr. Westbrook has 25 people on his Twitter network, and maybe I have 25,000. But you know what? I don't engage with my network very well. I'm not retweeting. I'm not replying to comments. I'm not joining the conversation. But Dr. Westbrook every single day is talking to somebody and holding a conversation, whose network is a lot more powerful and holds a lot more value? I argue that Dr. Westbrook's network is more powerful because he's engaging with that community, he's talking with his community, he's expanding his knowledge, he's sharing the stuff that they share, and he's gaining value from that. So his value is a lot more than my value. And please, please do not ever buy followers, likes, or fans. It just isn't worth it. Your network should be built organically, and in that way it becomes very authentic, and it will provide you with the value you're looking for. And yes, it takes time, it takes effort, but it pays off in the end. So please put that effort into your social media. In today's age, in today's digital age, this is the way people are communicating. For instance, I haven't received an actual newspaper in many years. I get my news on Twitter. I follow the stream of my news outlets. I follow the New York Times. I follow the Globe and Mail. I follow a few UK newspapers and some in Australia, because these are where my audience is working and living. So I follow those things. I'm getting my news from that, and I'm sharing news from that stream. I don't actually visit a lot of websites anymore because I connect with them on Twitter. The information's coming to me. I access it when I want to, not when they say I have to. So
all right, Bonnie, I think I have a related question for you. And I like how my network is better than yours. But the question is, how do you determine the correct balance of social media knowledge translation efforts to reach your participant community, reaching the right level of information saturation, not too little, not too much?
The answer is going to come with time. You're going to once you get to know your community, you are going to find that balance. And that balance is going to be determined by what they want and what you can provide. So I'm not a good example because I literally live on social media. This is what I do in my daily practice. It's part of my work. But I also have the tools to make engaging with social media very easy for me, like Hootsuite, like Social Bro. I've got some of those tools listed in the workbook for you guys to check out. But finding that balance really comes from, again, engaging with your community, but you need to balance that within your own daily practice. If you only have a few minutes to devote to social media every day, that's okay. I have trained clients to where they will take a half an hour first thing in the morning. They check all their networks. They reply to everything they need to. They share the content that they need, and then they get on with the rest of their day. And that's okay, because your community is going to see that consistency and realize that to engage with you in that immediate way, they're going to find the time when you're online. There are tools out there like Social Bro, like Hootsuite, like Buffer, many other tools that can help you figure out when the best time to share, like when most of your community is actually online. Be careful when using those because they're not always 100% accurate. And if your content, if you want to reach people in Australia who are in a completely different time zone than us, you might want to time some of those tweets to go out there into your network when those people are online, and there's tools that can help you figure that out. Does that help you answer that question?
I think I get it. Yes.
Yes? Perfect. Let's continue our conversation here about monitoring. Again, you want to monitor your share of the conversation. So you want to be aware, and it's helpful when considering your share of conversation. It's helpful to know who's talking about what and where you can jump into those conversations. So again, tools like Hootsuite can help you monitor conversations. Conversations on Twitter are marked with hashtags, and for those of you who are unaware of hashtags, Twitter's like a great big filing cabinet, and a hashtag is the name of your file. So it begins with the number or pound sign, and a word or phrase follows that. And you'll see them all over Twitter. Facebook now uses hashtags as well, so does Google+. Instagram uses hashtags. And some networks like LinkedIn does not use hashtags. So if you're posting hashtags to LinkedIn as well as other networks, we kind of know you're posting the same thing everywhere. And just be aware that you're doing that. It's okay sometimes, but I always recommend that you wrap your message in the appropriate language. Use the rules of that network and post a message there. So if I post a message to Twitter with a bunch of hashtags, I want to remove those hashtags when I want to start that conversation on LinkedIn. Each network is unique, and I suggest you start with 2. Get to know the tool. So maybe it's Facebook and Twitter, maybe it's Instagram and YouTube, but get to know those platforms really, really well before you add more platforms. Again, just because you can be there doesn't mean you should be there, so think it through. Social media activity will actually help you rise in Google search. When people search you on Google, part of the formula includes how active you are on social media, and it will pull those things out for the person who's searching for you. Let's talk a little bit about some of the tools. I've mentioned some of them already, but another one is Clout. Clout measures your online influence. It's not infallible, so it's just more of a guideline. If you have a Clout of 48, say, that means you're fairly active with your community, and that's good. If your Clout score starts dropping, you know that you really want to put a little more effort to maintain that level of engagement with your community. And you can go to Clout.com, Klout.com. Sign up. It will measure your activity on Facebook and Twitter, and there's a few other choices in there as well.
Bonnie, I have a question.
Sure.
This comes from Cynthia Salzman, and she says, we tweet and post on Facebook as an organization, not as an individual. I post all the content, but my personality isn't in it, and I don't want it to be. I understand that Bonnie's approach is about me because she has her own business, but our project is an us. Do we really need to insert our individual personalities into this?
That's a really good question, Cynthia, and the answer is found within you and your team. I argue that being personable on any social media is important because people connect with people. They like to connect with a face more than they'll connect with a logo, say. But there is room for institution-wide sort of tweets and activity on Facebook. Facebook allows you to set up a page that's devoted to that, and pages are a lot easier to measure than profiles. And let's think about that for a minute. A profile would be you, Cynthia, as yourself, which Facebook then allows you to create a page, which is probably better for your organization. So for you to have Facebook as yourself, and you can connect with your community, but you can also monitor and manage a Facebook page where people can like the page and interact with that content. And there on the page, it's perfectly acceptable not to have a whole lot of personality there. And it's the same on Twitter. If you feel it's working for you, by all means, do your Twitter activity from your institution or your research team perspective. I would encourage, though, that you encourage the members of your team to also interact as themselves, not through the organizational profile, but have profiles of their own and interact with the content that way. Does that make sense?
I'm waiting to see if Cynthia responds. She says,
There you
yes,
go.
thank you, Bonnie.
And if you have more questions, you want to continue that conversation, by all means, connect with me on Twitter or just email me. My email is in the workbook, and it'll be up on the screen at the end of the presentation as well. But we'll continue talking about some of the tools. My favorite tool on the planet is Hootsuite. Hootsuite is very powerful. It provides you with analytics. It helps you monitor conversations. It helps you connect and organize the people that you're talking to. It will help you manage most of your profiles that you're going to be using on social media. For instance, I manage Instagram accounts. I manage MailChimp. I manage my Google Analytics. I manage Social Bro activity. I manage all my Twitter handles, and your challenge now at this point is to find all of me across Twitter because there's a few of them. It helps you, so I can manage and post to Facebook. It's very powerful, and it saves you time when you have everything in one dashboard. It's web-based, so you don't need any special software. You can access it from any device, whether it's an Apple device, Windows device, or an Android device, and you can access it anytime, anywhere, when you need to access it. In some ways, it may be a little bit too powerful, so there is a free version, which allows you to have about 5 profiles, and you can give it a try. It's, again, it is one of my favorite tools. I am a Hootsuite ambassador, as well as a Hootsuite certified professional. But it is the tool that allows me to manage multiple profiles across multiple platforms. And there's a little more.
Mark Olson has a question, and it is, are there better social media tools to use for different demographics? He's thinking particularly of student outreach.
You know, Mark, that's a great question. And I think in your case, you might want to turn to Social Bro. Social Bro will help you really dive into your Twitter community. It only works for Twitter, though, and there's other things out there for other platforms. But I found it successful. It'll help you increase your community, but it will also help you engage in that community. You can search Twitter via Social Bro for keywords, interests, names, locations, and all of that. Hootsuite is also a tool that will help you do that because you can do geolocated searches, which means that they use your geocode that's provided by Google. And it's got a little tab where you can actually hone in on your area. So say you want to connect with students just going to the university that you're connected to, you can do that within Hootsuite quite easily. Does that answer your question, Mark? I see there's another question there, John, from Priscilla Matthews. It's very interesting. Priscilla asks whether it's, and I'm paraphrasing, whether it's okay to send out the same message on different channels on the same day. And I say, yes, it is, Priscilla. What you really want to be aware of is that, again, if you're using hashtags on Twitter, maybe remove those hashtags if you send it to a LinkedIn group. Your Facebook community is going to be comprised of different individuals than your Twitter community. Your Facebook community is going to be on at a different time than your Twitter community. And just be aware of all of these things about your community and post the message appropriately. Does that answer your question, Priscilla?
That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're almost nearing the end, so if you guys have more questions, please do shoot them away. We've talked a little bit about Social Bro. Let's talk a little bit about email newsletters. I would imagine a lot of you receive, well, I would say all of you receive email newsletters, and a lot of you probably are sending out some of your own. I know Cedal and KTDRR both have fantastic newsletters that go out. I'm not sure what you guys use to manage them, but I think Cedal is managed by MailChimp. It's a magical tool that helps you manage your community, get your content there, and get it out quickly. MailChimp, it has a number of metrics within it that helps you track who opened the email, who forwarded it, who shared it on Twitter, who liked it on Facebook. It's a lot of powerful metrics embedded right in MailChimp, and it also connects to Google Analytics as well. So now you can figure out if your newsletters are driving people back to your website, and in most cases that is what a newsletter is meant to do. It's meant to inform your community. It's meant to sort of drive your community somewhere. Typically would be your website. If you are considering using an email newsletter to engage with your community, I'd say go ahead. They're very, very powerful, and they do help to engage with your community. Vertical response, Joanne, I haven't heard of that one. That's interesting. But yeah, I imagine you find that pretty powerful. Constant contact I've heard of as well, Priscilla. I've used it in the past. I find MailChimp a little easier, a little more user-friendly. I'm not a huge technical person. That's my husband's job. And so I like things that are very, very easy. So all of the tools that I've mentioned here today are easy to use, they're intuitive, and they will help you get to where you're going. Another tool that we often forget about, and it's very simple, create an Excel spreadsheet. And you can track how many people take and share your content on Twitter. So Twitter will send you a notification every time someone retweets one of your tweets, and you can just mark that down in an Excel spreadsheet. And if you're just starting out and your communities are fairly small, it's easy to do in an Excel spreadsheet. So don't forget that can be a pretty powerful tool as well. And so let's talk about why are we measuring all of this stuff? Because we want to know where that when we get to a certain part, we want to know that our efforts are successful, and often we have to report that up. For me, I have to report the success and validate the effort I put in for my clients, which is very, very important. And you would have to do that with your research team or your institution or whoever, even your granting agencies are going to want to know how successful your efforts are.
We have one more question, if you'd like to take it, Bonnie.
Yes, please.
Question is, when beginning a media campaign, should you use more than one social media site?
Yes, indeed. You want to promote your material as widely as possible while keeping in mind the appropriateness, right? So if you have a blog and you put up a new post, you'll want to share that post with all of your networks, whether that's on LinkedIn, whether that's on Facebook. You can share it in an email. I usually have new blog posts in my email signature, just telling people to go and check it out, which is actually very powerful. I get a lot of people coming to my site through my email signature, but you want to measure that. And when you create those links, you can actually embed Google Analytics into those links, and it'll help you track, how things are performing. And over the last year, my email signature is at number 3. Number 1 is Twitter. Number 2 is LinkedIn. Number 3 is my email signature that's driving traffic back to my website.
Okay.
And yes, so again, get it out there as many places as possible. Something that I do when I'm promoting stuff is that I will know who else has email newsletters out there, and I'll ask them to maybe slip it in if it's appropriate. So that's okay too. Send it out. Wrap your language a little differently. Create different language around your main message, and send it out several times a day as well. So find out when your community is active and send it out then. And I'll go back to, I have a lot of people that I follow and that follow me back in Australia. So I want to make sure that they're getting fresh content when they're online. And that means the middle of the night, so I do time some tweets to go out in the middle of the night. And that's why I do that, so that I can keep engaged with that community. So does that help you figure that out?
I think that's right on target, yes.
Awesome. Again, there's lots of tools you can use to do that, and some of them are mentioned in the workbook, and we've gone over already. That's not an exhaustive list. There's a whole bunch more tools out there that you can use. Make sure you find the one that works for you. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Most tools have a free version and a paid version. The paid version, of course, will give you more functionality. But before you buy the tool, make sure that it's the appropriate tool for you.
Bonnie, it looks like we have reached our expected time already, and we were just getting started, I think. But is it the case you're going to be able to participate this afternoon in a breakout group?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, so some people are asking questions that I think they could raise in the breakout group. So that would be a very good. Right.
One thing about the workbook, John, in the end you'll find writing your plan as an appendix. There's also an editorial calendar there. Most of you will want to start using an editorial calendar to keep your content on track. And at the end, Appendix C, all the resources that I've used and use regularly to maintain what I do and to inform this presentation are listed in the back of that workbook, along with clickable links that will take you to where they are online.
That sounds great. Thank you, Bonnie, very, very much. We're going to take a short break now, and we will reconvene at 15 minutes after the hour. Come back, and we'll start with some words from Dr. Mark Harness. See you in a little bit. Bye.
Bye.